final time in 2024 here on Owen Field. The Ponies run. The Schooner leads the crimson-clad Sooners onto the field. Boomer Sooner versus Roll Tide. Here we go. He'll run it himself. Right side, hit by Danny at the line of scrimmage. Bam! Robinson to the 5. Get in! Touchdown! Quick throw out. It is intercepted. Eli Bowen takes it to the red zone. Pitch. Robinson runs left, cuts. Touchdown! Picked off. Kip Lewis. He did it again. He did it again. Kip Lewis, pick 6. Kip Lewis, Kip 6. Picked up, hit as he throws. Ball's in the air. Intercepted. Woody Washington on senior night. Intercepted. Thompson nails it down, and that'll do it. And here they come.
What a night. Oklahoma upsets Alabama 24-3 on Owen Field, and the party was on. And it's still going on.
I'm down there somewhere. I'm jumping around. My calves were sore. My ankles were sore for like 3 days.
It was such a good party, they had to rush the field twice on Saturday. Hi, everybody. Welcome into Sooner Game Day, brought to you by Taco Mayo. Big appetite, bigger savings. Download and save today. Toby Rowland with you, sitting in for Chad McKee today. How about McKee? He's in the Bahamas.
Man, poor guy.
And I'm stuck here with you two guys today. He has worked the system, hasn't he?
Smart guy.
Smart guy.
Yeah.
Great voice and a smart guy.
That's right. Gabe Eichert, Teddy Lehman, we're here to get you set for OU LSU. We got a night game in Death Valley coming up this Saturday night. But first off, guys, how much fun was that?
Incredible.
I would almost say a spiritual experience. I mean, it felt so good to watch them go out and execute at that level. And, you know, we'd seen it in bits and pieces throughout the season, mainly on the defensive side of the ball, Ted. But the offense had a tremendous plan. They went out and executed that plan. And for the first time, really all season long, we saw the complementary football that Brent Venables and this staff and these players have been seeking. And, man, it was beautiful.
It was. And I know the fans have been frustrated with the way this season has unfolded, but it's nothing in comparison to what they've been feeling in that locker room, you know, and around the facility. It's a beat down whenever the season doesn't go the way that you hope. So I was incredibly excited, but most of all, happy for those guys, man. Those seniors, you know, those guys that decided to come back for this year, this first year in the SEC, to have something like that moment that everyone's going to remember forever. I mean, I know the season isn't going to be what people remember, but that game we're going to remember for a long time.
You said it was the most fun you've ever had calling a game.
It was great.
Yeah. It was funny. I was asked today, when did you feel like this is actually going to happen? And you think back, and they started out, it was irritating because they missed opportunities early on, the field goal, the drop pass in the end zone. But it was 3-3, and it was 10-3 at half, and you thought, okay, that's a good first half. But they've had the lead the last couple of first halves, and it got away. For me, when Eli Bowen picked off that pass, it felt like, hang on a second, maybe something's different. And then when the pick 6 happened, you thought, we're partying tonight. Like, it's just happening.
I started believing earlier.
I agree. I don't know that I ever felt like we're going to be out of it.
Right, but the drive before halftime where Xavier Robinson goes and scores, that's where a bunch of people being down on the sideline, we all start turning to each other going, we're going to win this game. Like, we're going to do this because the Sooners were obviously the better team throughout the entire first half. Like, they really had controlled things, even though there wasn't some giant gap on the scoreboard. They were just the more physical and well-prepared football team.
Yeah. It was fun. And speaking of great atmospheres, we're headed to Death Valley this week. Maybe the most intimidating atmosphere in all of college football, maybe American sports. I don't know, but a 6 o'clock kickoff down there. Let's talk about the matchup, Gabe. Let's start with the OU offense. Good play calling, great execution last week in the win over Alabama. They worked that game plan to a T.
Ground and pound, baby.
That's right.
and a lot of read-run game where there's an option to divide the defense in the middle of the defense as well as attack the defense on the perimeter. And I thought that it was a tremendous game plan, and they executed it very, very well. And I don't see any reason why they can't go do that again on Saturday night in Baton Rouge. Now, it's going to be very different. You are at home, crowd was on your side, you executed at a very high level. You got to go do that in the wildest atmosphere in all of college football. But I think this offense gained a ton of confidence from that performance. And I think this is a group that believes in Joe John Finley and what they're doing offensively right now. And I expect them to go play well on Saturday.
They've got an identity now on offense. They're running the ball. Defensively, Teddy, start to finish. You saw the very first play, Danny Stutzman's hit on Jalen Milroe. A dominant performance the entire night.
It was. They were fantastic. Our front seven has been just excellent this entire year. Backers, the defensive line, the edge guys, but everyone came to the party on Saturday night. It was a total team effort defensively. Now, it's going to be a totally different challenge against LSU. Number one, just like Gabe said, you're going on the road, and it's going to affect the offense, but it's also defensively whenever you've got the crowd support behind you getting loud, and that was a loud crowd on Saturday. They're not going to have that behind them, and this LSU team is a much better passing team than what we saw from Alabama. And they got multiple players in the passing game that can hurt you, but all that being said, I still expect a top-tier performance from this defense.
All right, let's move the topic to LSU. What do you see from the Tiger offense? Garrett Nussmeier, passing attack, one of the best in the SEC.
Yeah, it starts with him. Big arm. He can make any throw on the field, and he's going to test your coverage. You feel like you've got people locked down, he's going to try and fit it in there, and he does make some mistakes. He can move in the pocket and he can create time, but he's not going to pull it down and run very often. That's not what he tries to do. He's trying to get out to where he can push the ball down the field. They got a solid running game, and it all starts with that big offensive line. They are physical. They're well prepared. They work great as a unit together. They're really good in pass protection. They got probably the best tackle in Campbell in all of college football. It's going to be they're a dangerous group. They can do a lot. But, if you can stop the run and get after Nussmeier in the pocket, which I think we have a chance, you can make life difficult on him.
We'll break it down as we go along. Statistically, kind of a one-dimensional offense. They lean heavy to the pass. We'll see if the Sooners can slow that down. What about defensively, Gabe? The Scoop, by the way, brought to you by Brahms Ice Cream and Dairy Stores, farm fresh for over 50 years. What have you seen from LSU on the defensive side of the ball?
So I think their defense is solid. That being said, I think they're the worst defense we've seen in SEC play. Now, that probably speaks more to all of the really good defenses that we've played against, but I don't see any reason why OU's offense can't go and have similar success to what we just saw them do against Alabama. I don't think LSU's defensive line as a whole is as good as a lot of these defensive lines that we've seen, especially in the interior of the defensive line. I like their edge guys, but the interior, I think, is a real weak point for their defense. I'm not sure it matters that much how good they are in the secondary because I don't know how many times we're going to throw it.
Right.
But I do think that Joe John Finley can dial up a lot of the things that they dialed up against Alabama and have success against LSU. In fact, you've seen Texas A&M, you've seen Vanderbilt, you've seen multiple teams have success running the football against LSU with the concepts that we just utilized against Alabama. So you go into it feeling like you're going to be able to run it efficiently.
Especially the quarterback run game has given them problems this year.
Yeah, second half of the Texas A&M game, Jalen Milroe, which, no offense to Jackson Arnold, he's not exactly a Milroe-level athlete. He's a really good athlete, but not quite what Jalen Milroe is. But Milroe ran wild against LSU throughout that football game. So there's no doubt they've struggled with QB-driven run game. And the key for Jackson Arnold is going to be to continue to make the right decisions with the ball. Joe John Finley puts him in a ton of situations to read either the edge defender or a linebacker, and that kind of dictates what he does with his ball handling. He was really good against Alabama. He's got to be really good again Saturday night.
By the way, not the uniform matchup we thought we were going to get. It sounds like LSU's wearing purple, which they hardly ever do, and the Sooners are wearing the glorious road whites. This is going to be a tremendous television uniform matchup for this one. Yeah, this will be beautiful. We'll take a break. When we come back, let's talk about that dominant Sooner defense. What a night against Bama on Owen Field. You're watching Sooner Game Day. We got another Kip 6 Saturday night on the left, Alabama on the right, Auburn. He loves playing against the state of Alabama. That was the moment right there for me that I thought, hey, we got a party going on Owen Field. Kip Lewis, Kip 6 Saturday against the Tide. Let's talk a little defense as we welcome you back to Sooner Game Day, brought to you by Taco Mayo. Sooner defense wins the turnover battle, Teddy. We said going in it was an absolute must. OU fumbles early, but then they get 3 second-half interceptions from Milroe. Most he's had in any game this season, and had to happen. They made it happen.
Yeah, they were fantastic, and it started right out of the gate. Shutting down the run game, both Milroe and the handoff run game. We were really good. Didn't give up any explosive. Now, early on, they hit a couple of third-down passes on us, that were able to move the chains, but we forced a field goal there and kept them out of the end zone. But, it really all started up front. And as the game wore on, and we did force those turnovers, the offense paid them off, which was great. And we got that lead. For the first time, it feels like all SEC play, we were able to turn our pass rush loose a little bit. You saw R. Mason Thomas getting home. Trace Ford had a couple of really nice rushes. The interior guys did a good job of not getting up the field and creating massive gaps that Milroe could pull the ball down and escape through. So it was a total effort. And, credit the guys on the back end. The coverage was great. I mean, we did a really good job. Eli Bowen had a great day covering Ryan Williams. I mean, Luther Burden 1 week and then Ryan Williams, and it's not going to get easier this week.
You got Kyron Lacey this week, kid.
It's crazy.
Gabe, your hot take on this show last week was that OU would hold Jalen Milroe to under 100 yards rushing. And
I should have said under 10.
It was a hot
take. It turned out to not be that hot.
Yeah.
They held him to 7 rushing yards on the night. How'd they do it?
There's no other way to say it. They whooped that behind at the line of scrimmage. Just the defensive line was fantastic. Technique, pad level, physicality. They bullied that offensive line from Alabama, and it's been a long time since you've seen a group from Alabama get pushed around the way that they got pushed around.
Yeah.
And I loved every second of it, but it forced Bama into some bad down and distance situations. The offense was rolling, Bama got in a hole and they started pressing a little bit and they made mistakes. It was, I'm going to continue to say it. It was what you're looking for when it comes to complementary football. It all fit together, and the defense was just lights out in this game.
Teddy, every time Milroe tried to run or escape the pocket, it felt like there was 5 red jerseys there waiting for him.
Yeah, and just watching some of these plays, you can see the defensive line. There's no movement up front, and everyone's getting in on the action, which I love. You see big DJ Terry there. He had 2 big plays, tackles for off. Ethan Downs. Saw Eli Bowen make a nice play on him out on the perimeter. Robert Spears-Jennings coming down from the safety spot making a tackle. I mean, we tackled really well, and it looks to me like Milroe was kind of surprised by our speed on the perimeter. He kept trying to bounce it, and there was nowhere to go. He was getting run down and flushed to the outside, forced to run out of bounds. They're forced into other players. So it just
Ted,
he was a total effort.
He was so rattled that he missed the slide tackle on Kip Lewis.
Oh yeah,
couldn't even make that happen.
Big effort there from Milroe. It's crazy. It was awesome, and what's and this is just kind of a total team effort thing. It's not some crazy performance that can't be replicated. I mean, nothing really crazy happened on plays that our guys can't make over and over. We limited turnovers. We didn't get penalized in big bunches to put ourselves behind the chains. We tackled well. We covered well. We played responsibility football. We can do that again.
Let's talk about the matchup, OU's D-line against LSU's offensive line. It's a bit of a dichotomy here because rushing, they're 14th out of 16 in the SEC. They don't run the ball well at all, but they do have good pass protection, Ted. And so the pass rush getting home is going to be difficult against these guys. They're averaging only giving up about 1 sack a game.
Yeah. And, one of the interesting things about LSU is they love to get 5 guys out into the route scheme. And we don't see that very often. We saw it against Alabama late whenever they had to throw the ball to come from behind. But they trust their offensive line enough that they're going to let backs get out into the route concept, which means you got 4 on 5. You got your pass rush against their 5 protection guys, and we have been pretty successful against that whenever we have gotten that look. So you've got to hold up downfield. Now, Nussmeier, huge arm. He's going to throw guys open. He's going to throw it, in tight windows, try and fit it in there. And, he'll try and make some plays, and he'll make some mistakes because of that. But he's definitely a threat. And whenever they get 5 guys out, if you don't get pressure, you get into trouble really quickly because of all the options out there on the field.
And Toby, you mentioned their struggles to run the football. That has to remain the case in this game.
Right.
The key is for OU's defense to make LSU one-dimensional. Now, Nussmeier's got a big arm. He's extremely talented, and he's got some dudes as targets. But if you put him in 2nd and long and 3rd and medium to long, that puts you in advantageous situations, even with how talented they are and how dynamic their passing game is. It becomes a lot easier to play defense in those situations, and you can disguise some things and try to fool Nussmeier a little bit with what you're doing from a coverage standpoint. If they're running it efficiently, they become a very, very difficult offense to stop.
Nussmeier, the best pure passer OU's faced in the SEC this year? I mean, Jackson Dart may be the only one that's close. Quinn Ewers, okay?
Quinn Ewers, but he hasn't looked the same since the oblique situation.
Yeah.
He's got the best arm talent we've faced.
I think if you just turn on the tape and go, who can sling it the best out of anyone that we've played, I think it's Garrett Nussmeier.
Well, obviously, because of that, big pressure on the OU secondary and Teddy, Eli Bowen, he burst onto the scene midseason, and now he's assigned to the elite wide receivers in the country. He's been unbelievable.
He has. I mean, it's not only is he a true freshman, he's undersized for the position. I mean, that he's not exactly what if you were just checking boxes on what you wanted a corner to be, he may not fit into that, but he's at a position right now where I'm just like, okay, Eli Bowen's over there. We don't worry about that guy. Let's worry about what else is happening out here. He's confident. He just does his thing. He tackles well. He comes downhill in the run game. Just a solid player. There he is. I mean, closing the distance quickly, just an incredible athlete, and he's smart. The biggest part of corner, there's not a huge learning curve whenever it comes to what you have to learn in the defense. You're either a deep third player, you're a flat player, or you got a guy man-to-man. There's not a whole lot of thinking out there, but you have to really understand what guys do, to how they set up routes, how people are trying to attack you. Some of the different game plan things that will emerge and change throughout a game. And he's got a really good feel for it already at a young age.
Remember, we were at Rudy's. Coach Venables told us the Tennessee game. He came in, and some of the Tennessee wide receivers were like, over here, I got a mouse in the house. Yeah. I got 5'9" guy on me. And BV was like, he's not that guy. You guys don't understand. He's not that guy.
Nobody does that anymore.
Nobody does that anymore. We'll take a break. We'll talk about the Sooner offense against Bama when we come back. It's OU LSU coming up in Death Valley. This is Sooner Game Day. Welcome back to Sooner Game Day, getting you set for OU LSU down in Death Valley. Let's move the topic now to the Sooner offense, and you got to start with true freshman running back Xavier Robinson. He was impressive in the fourth quarter game against Missouri. You thought maybe his workload would be increased against Alabama. Wow. Yeah, the early fumble from Taylor Tatum, which took him out of the mix, and the rest of the night belonged to X, and he delivered.
And I'm glad it did, because this guy can play. And I know a lot of people are wondering, hey, why did we not see him earlier in the season? And Coach Venables talked about it on his show this week, that he just wasn't quite ready. And to his credit, he's worked extremely hard to turn into the player that we saw against Alabama. The guy never is falling backwards.
Never.
He's always falling forwards, and
Great balance.
I think he's got great balance. I also think he's a lot faster than people realize.
22 miles an hour on that right there. I saw that on social media.
He can go. I think that this is just the start for Xavier Robinson. He's just got a natural feel for setting blocks up, and the way that he catches the ball out of the backfield, I think, is huge for this offense. And I think that's going to be a big factor against LSU, because for whatever reason, they don't seem overly interested in covering the running back out of the backfield in the passing game. So I think you can get some easy touches for Xavier Robinson in some of those situations. But man, it feels like we got a star in the making with 21.
What impresses you about him?
I love his cadence. I love how he, typically young guys, it's like, give me the ball and go as fast as I can into the hole. And there's something to be said about that. But, especially with this gap scheme stuff that we're running, it takes a little bit of time for guys to get their positioning. And you can also set up the positioning almost like a punt returner by take it wide and then cut back to try and get people to expand a little bit. He always runs through tackles. You see guys, and we've complained in the past, like we got one guy to beat and that guy makes the tackle. He runs through it, and he doesn't make these violent cuts. He gets off center a little bit and can run through those tackles, and somehow in the piles, it looks like he's dead, and he finds a way to move forward, and he always gets positive yardage. It's really been incredible. And I know people are, I say upset, wondering why he didn't play earlier. This wasn't our offense earlier either.
Correct.
So what you're seeing, like, this stuff fits him really well. He's got a good knack for it. And I'm not so sure what we were doing the first half of the season would have fit him nearly as well.
He's also doing a great job protecting the football. And that's the most important thing. Keep protecting the football, Xavier Robinson, because if you do, man, he's going to keep racking up yards.
SEC Freshman of the Week. OU also had the SEC Offensive Lineman of the Week in Fabechi Wiwu. The O-line, 257 rushing yards against Alabama. I mean, this is a silly question, but best performance of the year by the O-line?
No doubt about it. The way that they targeted things in the run game. And you'll hear Joe John Finley, Brent Venables talk about, hey, it's really simple on offense. I disagree. What they did on offense against Alabama was not simple. There's a lot of moving parts. With all the shifts and motions, the defensive picture was changing before the snap, after the snap. And to this O-line's credit, they handled all of it extremely well. And they were as physical as they've been at the point of attack all season long. And they created as much movement as we've seen them create all season long.
What's changed? What's the difference? I mean, everything you just said, but are they just getting better?
I think they've got some young guys that are just getting better. Yeah. I mean, you think about Troy Everett. He was really banged up at the start of the season. He's the leader in that room. I think he's continuing to get better at the center spot. Heath Ozada and Logan Howland, now that they've been kind of tossed into the fire, they're getting better. They're getting more out of the natural ability that they have, and I think their confidence is growing. And confidence is everything for a young lineman. When you start to believe that you can block the guy across from you each and every snap, it's shocking. All of a sudden, you start playing better.
Yeah. We're seeing some Jackson Arnold highlights sprinkled in here as well, Teddy. It would have been easy for him not to get on the airplane coming home from Columbia. That was, a performance he would like to soon forget. But, boy, give him credit. He came back and played his best game in a Sooner uniform so
There's
far
no doubt.
Saturday.
Yeah, he was fantastic. Probably not the game plan that every quarterback dreams about, but He was super effective, smart with the football, didn't put it in harm's way.
Maybe Jamel Holloway.
Yeah. I thought he was great. I mean, some tough runs. Like, he took some shots out there, but he kept going, and I was happy for him. And you could tell, like, as the game went on, like right there, after that play, he comes bouncing out of the sideline, tossing the ball to the ref. It wasn't just the offensive line whose confidence was growing throughout. It was Jackson Arnold. He was in command. What little passing game we had, he made really smart decisions, had that great slant to Brendan Thompson. Look at that nice little touch pass over the top to Bauer Sharp right there. I thought he was excellent, and it's a really nice performance that he can build on.
And he ran the ball 25 times and took care of it.
That's it.
Didn't put it on the turf, which obviously has been a problem this year. So, Gabe, the game plan was obviously, or developed into, run the ball until they prove they can stop them, maybe sprinkle in a pass here and there just to keep them honest. Same plan Saturday against LSU in your mind?
My goodness, I hope so.
Well, you got to start there until they stop it.
Yeah,
Right?
and I don't think Bama's I think the core of Bama's defense is better than the core of LSU's. I am interested in seeing if LSU comes out and does something a little different defensively.
Yeah.
Because if you're that staff, you have to be looking at it going, they're down their top 6 wide receivers. Let's put 7 or maybe even 8 in the box. Let's just play man across the board and let's dare them to throw it. I don't know if that's what they're going to do. That's what I would do. Mm-hmm. And I'd make Jackson Arnold and this wide receiver core for Oklahoma prove that they can make plays. We'll see what it looks like, but if it ain't broke, don't fix it. It looked incredible against Alabama, and I think that they can build on all those. I think they can build some play action off of some of the run concepts that they had a lot of success with in the Alabama game, and hopefully get a couple of deep shots where they get the back end of LSU's defense so focused on playing the run that they can get behind them. I'm hoping we can hit 1 or 2 of those for big plays on Saturday, but this is the best, the most efficient, whatever term you want to use. It's clearly the best the offense has looked all season long. I would expect it to look very similar.
Are they going to throw those play action passes to Major Melson, or they got to go?
Bauer Sharp.
I'm just kidding. Jacob Jordan.
Jacob Jordan.
Yeah, they got receivers.
We got guys. Come on.
All right, we'll take a break. When we come back, let's focus on the Bayou Bengals. The opponent coming up Saturday night in Death Valley, the LSU Tigers. Mike will be there. We'll be back. It's been a wild ride for LSU this year. A few weeks back, overtime comeback thriller to defeat Ole Miss. That was in Death Valley. Nussmeier, the game-winning throw. Then they went to Arkansas and hammered the Hogs on the road. Came back home against Alabama and got it handed to them. The Crimson Tide demolished them. Big night from Jalen Milroe. That would lead to 3 consecutive losses for LSU. Righted the ship a bit against Vanderbilt last week in a 7-point victory down in Baton Rouge. So let's talk about LSU guys. Garrett Nussmeier, Gabe, pocket passer, not a huge running threat. This is a team that is first in the SEC in passing and next to last in running the football. So it's not really a mystery what they want to do on offense.
No, but you have to make them one-dimensional. You have to shut down that run game and force Garrett Nussmeier to make a bunch of throws in tight coverage. Now, they are going to make some plays. They have, when you look at Lacey and Anderson and Taylor at the tight end position, those guys are all early round picks. They are fantastic players. They're going to make plays. But make them one-dimensional, make them throw into coverage, and Nussmeier has proven that he will make a mistake or two. So that's what the game plan has got to be, and I just have to imagine this OU defense coming off the Bama performance that they're as confident as they've been all season.
I got that backwards. Second in passing, last in rushing. Teddy, let's take a look here at Nussmeier. What do you see in him?
Yeah, you see him running on the run here. He's a big guy. He's fairly athletic, but that's not typically what he wants to do. He'll move around and try and get outside the pocket to push the ball down the field. He's got a big arm, can make any throw. He'll throw it late. He gets a lot of balls tipped downfield, throwing into coverage. They run a lot of stop routes. They got good athletic receivers that are hard to tackle. So they run a lot of stuff at the line of scrimmage where he just hammers it out there, throwing fastballs, and let those guys, whenever you give them a cushion, let them make some plays. And they love the deep crossers, the deep ends, the dig routes. And the tight end loves to run down the seam. He loves to try and fit it in to the tight end down the seam. And like I said, there's going to be some opportunities for some footballs, but you better be ready to compete for it because those guys are used to making plays in tight coverage.
You saw the 11 interceptions there, second most in the SEC. He's interesting because he'll make some throws that will just like, wow, nobody else can make that throw. And then he'll make some throws that make you say, what is he looking at? Where was he throwing that
A lot
football?
of time it's when he's out of the pocket and he's kind of throwing late across the middle and, a safety has come down that he doesn't expect to be there. And, there's going to be some moments. He's
what I call an oh my gosh guy. Sometimes you go, oh my gosh. And then you go, oh my gosh. Like,
something's happening.
That? Yeah, but he's a gunslinger. He is going to let it rip. The key is to play complementary football and to put him in situations where he feels like he's got to make plays.
Mm-hmm. Let's take a look at those pass catchers. They've got a dynamic trio led by Kyron Lacy, 8 touchdowns on the year. Aaron Anderson, spectacular as well. And Teddy, maybe the best tight end in the league. Mason Taylor?
He's solid. He's a good blocker. Like I said, they love him down the field on seam routes. They like to attack backers that are trying to cover him. And, he gets them running, gets their back turned, and Nussmeier will try and throw it over the top and fit it in there. And Lacy is excellent. He's big. He's physical. He's good after the catch. And like you think about that Ole Miss game, the overtime game, like some of those catches he had late, and he's just throwing it in his general area and letting him go make the play. So this is a really dynamic group. But, it's kind of what we've seen every week in the SEC. Everyone's got great pass catchers. I mean, you go back to Auburn, maybe they got the best group of skilled guys we've seen all year, and look at what they've done. But, I think that we match up well. You're going to have to put pressure on Nussmeier, though, to force him into some tough spots.
This league is great at every position, but at wide receiver, I mean, you had Burden and Weiss at Missouri. You had Ryan Williams and everybody else at Alabama. These guys at LSU, they're crazy. Gabe, I know you can't wait. You got Will Campbell, maybe the best tackle in the country.
No maybe about it.
Best tackle in the country. He's given up 1 sack in 2 seasons, one-on-one perhaps against R. Mason Thomas much of the night on Saturday. We'll see. This is going to be fun to watch, though.
He's fantastic. And Emory Jones, the right tackle, really solid player as well. Coming into the season, the expectation was LSU was going to have the best offensive line in America. They have not played like the best offensive line in America, but Will Campbell's excellent. Now, I don't know why his stance looks the way that it does. It drives me insane watching him on tape, but he gets all the spots out of that goofy stance.
He looks like a center about to shoot a free throw or something.
It's wild to look at, but he's awesome in the run game, and I would say since I've been doing this, he's the best pass protection tackle I've seen. I mean, it's like poetry in motion watching that guy set and the way that he uses his hands. But the interior of the offensive line I don't think they've been overly dominant, Ted. They've been solid, but these guys thrive in pass protection, and, the run game has not been their strength. It hasn't been that group strength overall.
Defensively, we've mentioned it a couple of times. They've been vulnerable this year against the run. Teams have been able to run the football on them pretty consistently. What do you see there? And then what do you think they are secondary-wise?
Well, the secondary, it's LSU. They're long and athletic. Now, and I know that we don't have our wide receivers. I get it. But they've given up some big plays at corner where, frankly, they've just been run by. Now, the guys running by them are a bunch of early round picks.
Right.
So we've talked about the talent at wide receiver in this league. They've given up huge plays to some of the better wide receivers in the SEC, but I just don't think they fit the run, especially when there's a lot of moving parts, when there's a lot of eye candy. I think they struggle to fit the run at a high level. I do like Weeks. at linebacker for him, but I think that OU's offensive line can create movement against the interior of the LSU defensive line. I think their edge guys are really good. I think they're good players. I think they're physical. 35 looks enormous, but I think the weak point of that defense is the interior defensive line.
All right, it's time for Chick-fil-A's My Pleasure. Download the Chick-fil-A app and order your favorites ahead of time. This is where I'm supposed to ask you what would bring you the most pleasure in this game on Saturday night.
Are you comfortable doing that?
I feel a little awkward, but Teddy, that's what I'm told I should say. So what would bring you the most pleasure in this game?
Don't turn the ball over. I mean, that to me is the key. And I know we had the one turnover against Alabama, but we were able to weather that storm. If we don't turn the ball over, we don't have to score 50 points. Don't turn it over. Run it well. Don't put ourselves in tough spots. Our defense is going to play their style of game, and I think we can come away with a win. You go in there and you turn it over 3-4 times, we're going to be getting on the bus losers.
Easy to do in that place.
Yes.
You get rattled with the sound. Gabe?
Crisp, clean decision-making from Jackson Arnold in the run game. That's what we got from him in the Alabama game. We all saw how that went. I think if he does it again, this offense can have success running the football, but he's going to have to read a lot of different situations, needs to make the right decisions, and if he does that, should be just fine.
Do I get a pleasure, or is this just the two of you?
What would bring you the most pleasure?
I would like another defensive touchdown.
Yeah.
That was a lot of fun. We'll be back to take a lap around the NCAA this week. It's rivalry week in college football when we come back.
Sooner Game Day is brought to you by Bud Light. Easy to drink, easy to enjoy. OU Health. Proud to be Oklahoma's flagship academic health system. The best place to gear up for game day is shop.soonersports.com. Log on to Soonersports.com/kids for information about joining the Sooner Junior Kids Club presented by OG&E and brought to you in part by Orthodontics exclusively, Mathis Home, and Devon Energy. Thank you to our cornerstone television partners, OU Health, OG&E, Fowler Auto Group, and Coca-Cola.
Well, this is it. Final week of the regular season, so championship game implications all over the place. In the SEC, we know Georgia is in. They get the winner of the Texas A&M game in College Station. In the Big Ten, we know Oregon is in. They'll play Ohio State if the Buckeyes beat Michigan. How about SMU? They are in the ACC championship game in year one. They'll play Miami if the Canes beat Syracuse. And God bless you trying to figure out what's going on in the Big 12.
Good luck.
Arizona State and Iowa State have they control their own destiny, but there's 8 teams, no joke, 8 teams that still have a shot at being in the Big 12 championship game. This is where I think we play Game Day Pick'em.
Yeah.
We all pick a game. Let's take a look at the standings right now. I'm nervous right now. I'm going to be honest with you because Chad, I think, is in the lead. You have 37 points. Gabe, you have tied Teddy. You have caught him at 33.
I feel like a genius being the only one picking Ohio State. What a beatdown. What a beatdown that was.
It was.
All right, I got 5 good games for you. Here we go. We're going to start in College Station. Texas and Texas A&M, they're playing again. Most expensive ticket in the history of the world. Teddy, who you got?
Give me A&M at home. I don't think Texas is they haven't performed very well. They're not battle tested. You know, the biggest game they've had was against Georgia. Ewers got benched in that game. I mean, they're really good on defense and they're solid on offense, but that is going to be a crazy environment. I think A&M's going to play the best game that they've played all year. Probably me picking more against Texas than it is for A&M.
That's fine. Yeah.
But give me A&M.
I look at this game, you look at head coach, quarterback, defense. I think Texas has the better quarterback. I think they've got the better head coach, and I think they've got the better defense. Give me the Longhorns.
I'm picking for Chad. I feel terrible because he's got the lead, and I'm about to blow it for him. But I agree with Teddy. I think the home team wins this game. I'll take Texas A&M. South Carolina and Clemson. Can't wait to watch this football game. Gabe, you go first. Who you got in this one?
I just think South Carolina's a better football team. Lenore Sellers playing really, really well. And Can't go against our guy Beamer. I
Yeah.
mean, come on, give me the Gamecocks to get it done on the road.
Same. I really like their defensive line. I think they're going to wreak havoc on Clemson's offensive line.
I'll take South Carolina as well. Other than when they played Oklahoma, I've been rooting for South Carolina all year. They're a lot of fun to watch.
They are.
And Beamer's a lot of fun, too. Arkansas and Missouri. The game is in Columbia. Afternoon game. Gabe? Teddy?
Brady Cook, all the difference in the world for Missouri. Give me Missouri.
This is another picking against Missouri type of selection. Give me Arkansas on this one.
I'm going to take Arkansas, too, because I just feel like Drinkwitz is due one upside the head a little bit. So I think they're going to get upset by
He's
Arkansas.
said some interesting things.
Yeah.
And I think that makes people feel a certain way about him.
Notre Dame and USC in the Coliseum. Gabe?
Give me the Irish. I just think Jaden Maiava has not seen anything like this Notre Dame defense. I could see him struggling. I think Notre Dame gets it done.
Same. I like Notre Dame in this one. Easy pick.
Sorry, Chad. I'm taking USC.
Ooh.
They've lost a bunch this year, but they've been in a lot of them. I think they're going to pull off an upset here. And finally, K-State and Iowa State in Cycloneville. Ted?
Iowa State is the more consistent football team. I like Rocco Becht. I love their defense. Give me ISU.
Iowa State's a more consistent football team, which is why I'm picking Kansas State.
I'll take Iowa State, too. I think I picked the same as Ted on every single pick, so I'll take the Cyclones. All right, we'll take a break. We'll wrap it up with some hot takes when we come back. You're watching Sooner Game Day, brought to you by Taco Mile.
Sooner Game Day is brought to you by Riverwind Casino. Good times, great rewards. Crisp, refreshing, and incredibly tasty. Is Coke Zero Sugar the best Coke ever? Try and decide. OG&E. We energize life. The Sooner Sports Podcast is your all-access audio pass to Sooner Sports. Listen as Toby Rowland and Chris Plank talk all things Sooners. New episodes drop every day. Log on to Soonersports.com/podcast or search Sooner Sports Podcast in your favorite podcast provider. Presented by Allstate and Riverwind Casino.
Sooners in the NFL. Kenneth Murray, a nice day. Had him a pick and 7 tackles. Nick Bonito, Teddy. He's carving out a career, isn't he?
He sure is. He's a stud, man. He's carving them up.
And Mark
Double digits now, right? Double-digit sacks
so.
for Nick.
Wow. And Mark Andrews.
He's going to
got
go to
him
the Pro Bowl.
touchdown on Monday Night Football for Mark Andrews. Final segment of Sooner Game Day. It's time for our hot takes. What's going to happen in OU LSU? Teddy, hot take brought to you by Air Comfort Solutions.
I'm going to say the same thing I said on Monday. Xavier Robinson goes for 165.
Wow.
That's it.
Total?
165
Rushing
yards
or total yards? Rushing?
Rushing.
I love that. I think he can have a big day catching the ball out of the backfield, too, with how LSU struggles to cover running backs. This may be my hottest take of the year because we just watched the offensive game plan against Alabama. I think the game plan is going to be similar against LSU. But Jackson Arnold will throw a touchdown pass of over 40 yards.
Ooh, okay.
I think they're going to catch him sleeping.
Little play action?
Little play action, slip by him. Pretend you're cracking the safety, slip by him.
Yeah.
Get vertical.
I'm not arguing with
Touchdown.
you. You're on fire after that Jalen Milroe pick last week, so I believe it's going to be
Feel
a
good.
lot of fun. LSU in purple, OU in white, Death Valley at night. Sooners in the Bayou Bengals. Can't wait. Thanks for watching Sooner Game Day. Boomer Sooner, everybody.